Hi, this is Mike Crow, and I run a home inspection business. In fact, I've run a couple of home inspection businesses. The true joy for me, though, has been helping literally thousands of home inspectors build really solid home inspection businesses as well. We can help a single-man operation be able to do over $300,000 a year, maybe all the way up to $400,000 a year as a single inspector operation. Even better for me is the 80-plus companies that we have helped be able to build million-dollar home inspection businesses. I would like to help you be able to do the same thing. I want to move into this page, this is strategy number 7. It says, burn the free fuel. Now, I have written something really important. Let's see here, Coy. I have written something here really important right here at the top of this page. What does that say?
Read the whole chapter.
So what do you think that means? Alan, what do you think that means?
Read the whole chapter.
Really? Okay. I don't know. Julie, what do you think that means?
Read the whole chapter.
Oh, man, you guys are good. Gabby, what do you think that means?
Read the whole chapter.
All right, so what do you think that means, guys? Read the whole chapter, okay? I mean, I could have underlined just about everything in this chapter, everything in this page, all right? It was that important, all right? And here's one of the cool things is a lot of times when I fly, I take these books and sometimes Susan reads them while we're on the road. Sometimes Jonathan reads them. Sometimes I ask Jonathan to read them to me. Sometimes I ask Susan to read them to me, especially if we're driving and everything. This whole chapter was just like one of the most important chapters for me in the book. And by the way, it's chapter 9. All right. Can I tell you guys a secret? I'm a member of the 4-chapter book club. I read the first 4 chapters and I go, well, I don't need that. I'm going to tell you I discovered something recently. The first 4 chapters in almost every book is garbage for me because they want to justify why you need the information in the first 4 chapters. I have learned, for me, might not be true for you, but for me, I start reading the table of contents and I usually skip to chapter 5, 6, 7 in a book, okay? Because I don't need to be known what the whole world's problems are over and over and over and over and over again. I get it. I've watched it. I've lived it, okay? And so by this time, chapter 9, I'm going, man, burn the free fuel, all right? So there's in the very first chapter here, it talks about, and by the way, I gave you these notes even knowing there was a good chance I might not get to them today, but is there somebody so important in your business that you should sit down and write a letter to and tell them thank you? There is in yours, Alan. Okay? There is in all of ours. Okay? One of the things that I have learned to do is try to truly make sure that people understand how much I appreciate the effort that they bring into our business. Okay? So he goes into something here on page 188. You're going to want to mark this one down. You want to go down 1, 2, 3 chapters, and you want to mark this out to the side, and you want to mark the word R. Now, it's really an acronym, A-R-E. This is something I did not learn nearly well enough until after I had kids, until Susan reprogrammed me some, and I started realizing in business, and my dad said, you can't treat employees that way, and I said, watch me, okay? Susan said, you can't treat volunteers that way, and I said, watch me, okay? And the older I've gotten is I realized that, they might be right, okay? So ARE stands for appreciation, recognition, encouragement. Together they make up a cost-free. How much does it cost you?
Free.
Nothing.
It's free. They make up a cost-free, fully sustainable fuel. A fully sustainable fuel. One that builds self-confidence and self-esteem, boosts individual and team performance, and keeps an organization running cleanly and smoothly. ARE is more powerful than the fuels that can make engines roar, space shuttles soar, because it propels human energy and motivation. And when I read that, I went, wow. Now, I have been teaching for years, almost 20 years now, what I call tap notes, okay? Alan, do you know what a tap note is?
Is that a note you would say?
No, what's it stand for? TAP. Okay?
Appreciation.
Vance?
True appreciation.
Yeah, true appreciation. AP out of appreciation.
Okay. I was waiting on the P.
Yeah, true appreciation notes. And one of the things that I tell people all the time is nobody feels truly appreciated. okay? Your husband, your wife, your kids, nobody feels truly appreciated, okay? And I want to make sure that you understand that, all right? When I used to ask thousands of people sometimes, who in here feels 100% totally, truly appreciated? You know how many hands went up? None. So the question is, if we know that, how do we build that into what we do, okay? How do we build that into what we do? I will tell you one of the things that I try to do for Susan, and I guarantee you, if you were to ask Susan, she does not feel totally 100% truly appreciated. But one thing I've tried to do as a spouse, as a husband, is to every day tell her something that I absolutely love about her, okay? And then I try to do one thing every day that makes her life better. Even if it's set the alarm for 8 o'clock, so I'll put the trash out the next day, okay? One thing. Can you imagine if you had somebody in your life that you did one thing every day for to help them feel truly appreciated, okay? And so there's all of that. He has a letter in here he wrote to somebody, and he says, spend more meaningful time with employees. So on Thursdays, I go to lunch with John. You saw John in here. On Mondays, I go to lunch with Bree, who is our team lead in there, okay? And then sometimes I go ride with our marketing coaches or whatever. But spend some meaningful time with employees. And I will tell you that my house is a very well lived in house, okay? Susan has a lot of sewing projects. I have a lot of projects. And so we don't invite people over to our house, hardly ever, okay? What? Family. So family we do. And family in our world has a broader meaning, so that we have invited other people over there some. But with that said, how do you spend meaningful time with them? I'm telling you this. I tell you my weakness there because here's what I will tell you. They would love, every employee you have would love to spend a little bit more time with you. Will they be intimidated and scared to death? Hell yeah. And what you need to do is help them get over that. So one day, Miss Jasmine, our bookkeeper accountant, okay, I said, hey, the person I was going to go to lunch with, I said, hey, would you like to go to lunch? She went, yeah. She was scared to death. She just knew, what am I going to do? Getting ready to fire her? Getting ready to read the riot act to her? Whatever. We had a great lunch. You know what she said after that lunch? She said, you're a lot different person than I actually thought. And she said, I think I'm going to enjoy working here. And we had a great experience. So recognize your employees by name. All right, so we have this secret, me and Miss Belinda. So with Susan, she has all these wonderful little ladies that come in for sewing and everything, right? I'm trying to learn their names. I don't give a hoot about people's names, okay? But I'm trying to learn their names because it's important to Susan for me to know those ladies' names, all right? So this is one of those little things I'm trying to do for her. So me and Miss Belinda have this game. If somebody comes into the kitchen, Miss Belinda is supposed to go, oh, Marilyn, how are you doing today? And if Miss Belinda forgets to do that, I go, Miss Belinda, 5 points if you could tell me her name. Okay? And they look at each other, and the lady goes, it's Marilyn. And she goes, yes, I knew that. And I go, how are you doing today, Marilyn? Recognize employees by their name. Recognize people by their names, okay? Catch them doing something right. We always talk about that. I don't think it's done enough. I love what Davey has brought to the table with the awards, all right? We handed out so many awards in the first group. It was amazing, but recognize them doing something right. By the way, John and Jesse, but I think it was John mostly, got frames for those, okay? And somebody framed, Coy, I guess it was you. You framed the one you gave to Miss Belinda in there. And by the way, Coy, your name's on that certificate too. So every time I look at that certificate, I will remember that you took the time to recognize one of my people. 5 points for the House of Coy, okay? So I love it, all right? There are some key awards that you can do some different things. Let's see, he said, I always make it a high priority to recognize the contribution of cast members in many ways as I think of. Every morning when I get to my office in Orlando, I read through all the letters we receive from guests, and whenever one of them singled out a cast member for an exceptional service, I made a copy, wrote a note of thanks in the corner, attached an award pin to it, and sent it to the person's manager. By the way, why not send it to the cast member directly? Because sending it to the manager meant that the individual would get a double dip of recognition sometimes. Might even get it awarded to them in public, okay? one of the things that he pointed out to us was, and I thought this was freaking amazing, because I wouldn't know as a cast member, right? This is one of the coolest things that I learned by going there, was that some cast members have name badges that are blue. All the cast members have white name badges, but some of them have blue. You want to, when we get the questions and answers, tell us a little more about that, but that was cool. And then, of course, make it public, okay? Include their families. We talked about that earlier, right? Include their families. Include their spouses, all right? When Greg had to leave, but when Greg and I went there, he brought his wife. Me and his wife will now always have a little bit of contact. Because of different things. And by the way, she thinks completely different now of what we're doing than when he just signed up with us, okay? So include their families. Recognize and encourage good ideas, and give ARE to frontline employees, and make ARE a natural part of your routine. And then, of course, watch your language. Real quick, Michael DeLon.
Sir.
What does ARE stand for?
Appreciation, recognition, and encouragement.
Bingo. And I knew you would know. That's why I asked you. Okay? Aren't you glad I didn't ask you, David? No, I'm just, you had it written down. You had it written down. Okay. Kevin, aren't you glad I didn't ask you? Okay? I'm just joking. I'm just joking. But here's the thing is, guys, that chapter may be the most important chapter in this whole book. A lot of the other stuff talks about systems and procedures and looking at the what instead of the who and all of that, okay? And then the action steps are on page 206 and 207. I would absolutely take a look at that. By the way, one of the things it says here is don't tolerate poor performance or ignore performance issues. So it isn't telling you to ignore what has to be done or should be done. There should be top 5 metrics, and if you have top 5 metrics, and you and I are working together, and you are hitting those metrics, how does that make you feel?
Great.
Great, okay? And you know what it tells me? You're doing great. But if you don't have metrics that people can measure, see, touch, feel, how in the world do they know whether they're doing a good job or not? Okay? It's up to you to try to help make sure that those metrics are good, honest. And by the way, I'd always recommend, especially on some metrics, that there's 2 levels, right? Or maybe even 3. Hey, there's good, there's great, and there's wow, okay? And give people a chance to shoot for wow. I will tell you, people shoot for wow, a lot of times they hit great, okay? Instead of just good.